Well, welcome back, everyone, to the River Valley Railway. I think this is going to be our final video of this series because everybody's pretty much seen all I have to show on my layout. As you will see on today's video, I am not a master modeler. I do not pretend to be a master modeler. Therefore, I will not even begin to try to make videos about making models because what you see is about the limit of my skill level. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're going to take a trip on the northbound local. It's all set up with the caboose at the station, ready to board. Our rail fans are already boarded and briefed, and we'll be heading out of town here momentarily. All right, the station at Riverport is just a cheap little outland 3D printed building. Today's train, we're going to have a coal hopper, a gondola, plastic pallets, and some other cars headed north. This is a GEU 25B. It's I believe that's an Atlas model. So as we're looking at our main headquarters, we'll see the train come into view here. And these are all Amazon pine trees I bought, by the way. I got like 50 of them for $15, and there's 650 trees on this particular layout. So we're just going to take a ride out of the yard, headed northbound. We'll come through Pine City. Don't mind the shaky camera. I'm trying to run trains and hold a phone at the same time, so just pretend it's wind on a surveillance camera or something. One thing I have noticed doing these videos over the last few days, detail is important. If that is your thing, don't watch my videos because there is a lot of sloppy scenery, a lot of debris in the roads, and now our train has rounded the corner and is coming into the backside of Middleton, where it will pause and let the railfan experience people out because there's a nice little museum here. So we're going to go check that out. And while that pauses, we are running the local in Pine City. So once the Pine City local's done, we come back to our train here to give us some time, as it were, to get to our next destination. It's just buying time. We're going to swap out some cars here at Middleton at the Chemco plant, as well as swap out gondolas at the Scrap It Recycling Center. And I mentioned in my other videos, I don't seem to have a problem pushing cars with the Rapido couplers, even though everything's truck mounted. I don't know why that is, and I'm not going to complain about it. All I know is that it works because I built this layout so I could operate trains. I'm not looking to be a magazine modeler or anything, so all you haters can just go right ahead and save your comments because I really don't care. This is the first layout I've actually ever finished, and yes, I'm going to call it finished, even though there's some little details to do, and the basic layout is done and scenic, and my main goal now is to operate trains. And this particular spot, looking at details, I got my railroad crossing yield sign too far down in the gravel, and yeah, we can nitpick my railroad to death if that's what you guys like to do. Here is one problem with Rapido couplers, especially if you've got micro trains wheels on them. They roll so easily, and they're so light. There's not enough resistance to get those Rapido couplers to flip over each other. So out of the frame, I got my thumb on the end of that car, and we slowly back the train in until they finally get over their friction point and click in. Again, noticing details. That metal model that was built for me is not squared up, and the right tire's up in the air. We're going to pretend that they loaded that truck wrong And yeah, that's the one thing. If you are really into details of your model railroad, the one thing you need to do is to start taking real good close up videos, and you will see stuff you did not even imagine on your railroad. You will see debris everywhere that your normal naked eye just passes over, especially with these flock trees. I think they're Chinese, but yeah, they drop their little green fuzzies everywhere, and you could spend a lifetime going around trying to keep all the little fuzzies vacuumed up. Um, and actually, I've noticed in some points of my railroad that there's gravel everywhere as well. Someday I may get around to cleaning that up. I don't know. This is not an excuse video. This is just telling you how I think about it. This is the Scrap It Recycling Plant. That was a scratch built building out of Walther's Wall Parts. Um, and so now, for some of you guys into operations, how would you go about switching out two cars here on two sidings? I need to get the back car from the far siding and the front car from the front siding. So my plan here was to go in, get the two cars, make sure there's nobody working in that box car and it's sealed up, and then pull the covered hopper out from behind it, and then attach it to the gondola we're going to pick up. And then take that out to the back of the to where the train is parked out on the main line, and then drop those cars off because they're going to be now part of our train. That chemical tank car and the the gondola full of my recycled material. Which, if you notice closely, those are simply good old Cato unijoiners left over from building the layout. So then I'm going to uncouple and drop the empty gondola first, and then go back and put the plastic pellets covered hopper where the tank car was, and then respot the box car. That's the way I could figure out how to do it in the fewest number of moves. I don't know exactly how else to go about it. I am not a prototypical model railroader, as you obviously can tell. I just like to have fun running my trains, and I love switching operations. So this is why I built what I built, because I operate as an out and back. It's operated that way since pretty much day one, regardless of the size of the layout. We build our trains in the yard, we take them out, we make deliveries, we make pickups, we come back to the yard. And even though I have an outer loop now where I can run trains constantly, I don't really do that too much. So we're going to drop the gondola first, and then we're going to pull up and drop the plastic pellets covered hopper along with the respotting the boxcar, and then we'll be done here at Middleton. And once we're done with that, the train will put back together, and it will go hide behind the mountains as we pretend it takes a little bit longer to get to Pine Valley than it really does. And these cars you see in the parking lots and stuff, that was another Amazon buy. I got like 100 of them for $12. They're not very detailed, but they do the job. iPhone went out of focus there for some reason, don't know why, and gives you a quick shot of, that's another scratch built building from Walther's Wall Parts and roof details. So we're done here at Middleton. So we're going to come around the we got to stop and realign the switches and make sure everything's cool before we leave. And then so you can see the details here where my grass has come off my green paint. A lot of details that you will never realize until you start taking close-up photos or videos of your model railroad. So I suggest everyone do that. Even even those that aren't really into doing a lot of detail, yeah, go ahead and start taking some videos and close-up photos of your train, and you're going to find out that if you think it's looking real, you got a lot more work to do. The HO scale guys, I can see where they can really get into super detailing because it's, of course, twice as big. So now our train is going to go hide behind the mountain there and sit and park while our attention is focused on Pine Valley and the local crew. This is a little Atlas PDT switcher. His sole job is to shove those cars out of the siding just like he's doing right now. I imagine that as a rail car. Where I live, there's a grain elevator that has a rail car that they use to move their hoppers in and out to load them when the big train's not there. They can get ahead of the game and load up some of their hoppers first using the rail car. So the rail car shoves those two out into the switchback, and now our S2 has fired up, and he's going to come around the town. This is the original layout that I started with. Just green board and Cato track, no scenery, and then we just started adding cheap little buildings, and then the Walters Freight House, and then the last thing I actually did was go back to this section and actually did the ballast thing and the scenery. This is a little Arnold S2. I do have one problem electrically here with that one turnout is not making good electrical contact at times, and you'll see the trains do a little herky-jerky as they get going through that turnout. I'm either going to have to resolve that somehow or dig it out and put in a new one. If I keep flipping the turnout switch to the points, it makes electrical contact. So I don't know if it's inside the switch or if it's just the points on the track that I need to do some work on. If anybody knows anything about Cato turnouts that have flickering power issues, let me know in the comments, please. So our local crew is they are the guys that they're the only guys that can switch the industries here in Pine Valley per contract, and the northbound train can only drop cars on the main and the backside oval, which is essentially now a passing siding. Right now, this train is on what we consider the main because we only use the half circle to escape out the back of the town. So the other half circle, it becomes essentially a passing siding because you can pull trains around that other half circle and have other trains go right around it and while it sits parked. So the local crew is going to drop these 3 cars that are going to get picked up, and then he's going to tuck back into that siding by the bakery. We imagine that other little outland building in the mini silos to be a bakery that takes refrigerated cars and golden loaf covered hoppers. So this guy's going to come back in here, and he's going to park and wait for the northbound train. One thing I've noticed watching the local trains here through my town is there seems to be a lot of waiting with train operations. So this is probably my pride and joy. I've never ever done a canyon or a waterfall before. This is my first attempt at doing something this dramatic, and I like the way it came out. It's not perfect, but it's mine. So now the northbound train is going to whoa up and stop just so the railfan experience people can get some real nice pictures of the waterfall while he detaches up here in town, and he'll pick up these 3 cars, and then he will come back and drop the other 3 for the local guys. Now, if you noticed earlier, there was a full coal car at Coal Junction, but that spur was a facing spur, not a trailing spur, and we're going to show you how we get back to it to service Coal Junction all in the day's work here for the northbound local. This is what I'm talking about with this turnout. See how the engine just stopped? Then if I flick the turnout switch a couple of times, the power reconnects. And so, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that one turnout. It's the only one I've ever had a problem with out of the 30 some odd turnouts on this layout. So I don't know if it's got scenery in the points, and it's not making full contact, or if it's something on the underside in the electronics. Um, I'm not versed well enough to know this stuff. I may end up just having to soak up the scenery with some alcohol and dig that thing out and put in a new one. Um, it's kind of a pain. I've had to do it once before when I glued a turnout shut with the scenery glue, but it's not impossible. So if you have a bad turnout and your track is already full of scenery, don't stress. Get out your 91% alcohol, soak that area down, and your scenery should just pull right up with the piece of track that you're trying to replace. Then you just go back through and redo the scenery. All of my ballast is woodland scenic stuff. So is the turf and the grass. Bushes are that spongy stuff that you pull off and you can make bushes. I had some other bushes given to me for Christmas. Those are the ones that look a little more realistic over there by the Fred's Fine Furniture and the Recycling Center in Middleton. Um, let's see here. You can see just the top of my control panel at Pine Valley, and we've now dropped those cars, and now we're going to reattach the train, and the northbound is going to sit and wait while the local guys spot those cars. Now we got to give the Railfan Experience agent a heads up that the caboose is about to move, and backwards we go so we can clear the main for the local guy. And now the S2, he will pop back out. And I don't. There are a couple of blocks in this section of the track, so I can turn locomotives off and on. But most of the stuff, like over in the main yard at Riverport, that entire yard is one electrical block, and those engines are all parked simply with power routing turnout power. Um, except the engine house track and the one next to it, I put those on separate blocks so I can park two locomotives on the same track. There that thing went again. It's been hitching on me, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. So now this guy will back up, and he will drop the box car and the tank car where the little red switcher can come get them and spot them, and then he will spot the refrigerated car into the bakery, and then the local guys will have their day done. The bank building, that is one of those Bachmann pre-made buildings. The freight house is a Walters kit. The building behind it, the drugstore, that's Outland. The chemical tanks, those are Outland 3D printed. The FAR factory behind the sign in the background, we call that the too thin to be real factory because when I originally made this layout, there was no space really for a factory there, so we have to use a whole lot of imagination for that guy. All right, he's just about done spotting there. And while he's unhooking, the little red switcher will come along and grab his two cars and get those spotted. The group of buildings in the far back, those are also Outland 3D printed buildings and another Outland station. The gas station is also part of that Bachmann pre-made series. The water tower is also Bachmann. And those houses in the back, I got those online on eBay. Pre-made, pre-painted. All I had to do was stick them on the layout. They were actually way more high quality than I was expecting for their price at the time. One thing about the chemical car here is I want to make sure the switcher gets away from it so there's no grounding issues when they go to unload it. We don't need the whole thing going kaboom. Um, the S2 is now done, and he's gonna work his way back around to his parking spot on the other side of town, and we'll let him run short cab forward so he doesn't get all exhausted out. I'm told that the locomotive engineers on those S2s really preferred short cab forward because it kept all the exhaust out of the cab. So he'll get parked, and then we will see. He's going to go behind the maintenance away train. That only comes out when we draw a MOW card, and he goes down into the canyon at Coal Junction to pick up trees and stuff, just to give us something else to do. That's a undecorated Atlas RS3. Okay, our northbound is headed back out. Now, he's still got to take care of the coal facility at Coal Junction. So how he's going to do that is he's going to unhook right here between the gondola and the hopper car, and then he's going to go all the way around the town and run around these two cars as if we had a passing siding with a runaround track. Oh, fun fact, those buses are European because the steering wheels and the doors are on the wrong side for my American layout. Some things you just don't know when you buy them on eBay. So we come back around, and now he's going to unhook from his train and hook on the other end of the caboose, and he will run long nose first back down to Coal Junction, where now he can service that spur as a trailing spur instead of a facing spur. I don't have sound. I was thinking about getting one of those Kato sound boxes for my DC layout, but it just seemed to be more hassle than worth. I kind of like the peace and quiet. I just running my trains, hearing the little grinding of the motors, and call that close enough. I have the sound off on the videos I actually took because this is a compilation of several video clips I shot with my iPhone, and we're combining all this stuff with the overdub on Open Shot Video Editor. This is the second video I've made using this type of program, so I'm a noob at this. Now, you notice the trees I knocked down as I was shooting the video earlier? I just now noticed this as I'm doing the overdub on this, that I apparently leaned against those trees on the edge, and it looks like a tornado came through and knocked them all down. Fortunately, they're just wire trees. We can stand them right back up with our thumb. So he's dropped the empty hopper. Now he's going to go back in and pick up the loaded one. And we use Woodland Scenic's fine cinder ballast as our coal loads. These are all live loads. So if a car tips over, yep, so does the coal. Get out the shop vac. I haven't had that happen except when I was a klutz trying to pick them up and dump them at the Pure Track once. So here's another example of repeato couplers not liking to play with each other, so sometimes you just got to bang them a little harder. I don't have that problem too much, but again, that second hopper, I replaced those wheels with Microtrains trucks, and it rolls way too freely. I personally prefer the metal wheels versus the nylon ones for N scale because the nylon ones are just so freewheeling. With these old bulky couplers, they can be a bit of a pain to couple up without the car running away. So we've spotted our car, and now we're going to do a push all the way back up to Pine Valley, nice and slow. And again, I don't have any problem pushing with these repeato couplers, even on the tight radius turns. But then again, I don't use any locomotives with body mount couplers out on the road. Those those guys are stuck at the yard and the main city area. That's the GP20, the GP7, and the GP40. Those are the three most modern locomotives I have. Um, Atlas, and Cato, and they have body mount couplers. Those are the only pieces of rolling stock I have with body mount couplers. So obviously they can't come up here to Pine Valley because they would just swing the truck mounted couplers right off the track on this 9 3/4 inch. Although I do get away with it down in Riverport because even though the center of the turn is 9 3/4, I used 11 inches as transitions to ease into the curve, and that seemed to solve a bit of a problem with the body mount couplers pulling truck mount coupler cars off the track. The GP20 I run through there all the time and I have no problems with, so we're not going to complain. So now we've started our pushback, and you're going to see firsthand that there's 5 cars, all truck mounted couplers, and we're pushing it right around the little oval with no problem. And even through turnouts. So like I said, maybe I'm just lucky and one of the fortunate few that has track work that accepts pushing cars with truck mounted couplers, because online I see that it seems to be a huge problem. But then I'm running short trains too. If I were to run a 30 or 40 car train, I could see where trying to push truck mounted coupler cars would be a real problem there. So all right, we're going to back up until we clear the road, and then we'll do our paperwork, and then we will head out, and we come out the backside. This is from behind the layout, looking at the backside track escape into the main shop area in Hidden Valley, which is our staging yard. No scenery, no ballast, just track and green board, couple of buildings, and that's it, because it's hidden behind the scenery, so there's not much point. He'll slowly make his way out of the staging yard, and then he'll pop out on the what we call the outer loop. He'll come around the farm, and one change I did make here on the corner is I took out that gravel crossing, because I realized that no railroad would let some farmer throw a crossing across their tracks. So he's got to come out of his driveway and go across the road up here. And here's a good example of what happens when you don't pay attention to detail. Look at all the debris in my road. Tree debris, gravel. I didn't exactly get my edges sanded well on my styrene for the ramp going up and over the tracks. Same thing here. Nope, camera's a little crooked. This is actually level. The entire layout is level. We imagine it climbs the mountain, but it never does. The whole thing is dead level. It's 3/8 inch plywood over 1x3 frames. And this is the back side of Riverport, coming around behind the McDonald's. And then we make the trip back into Riverport, where we have finished our day. This train will then drop the caboose here at the station to where the Railfan Experience agent can deboard all of his people and give them their debriefing and see how they enjoyed it. And then the locomotive pulls up a little bit, drops his train for the local yard guys, and then he goes to the shop, and his day will be done. And that's how we do the northbound local on the River Valley Railway. The number of industries we serve varies widely from the card draw. If you want to know how I do the dispatch, go back to and review my dispatch video. So every session is always different, because the cars are always cycling. And so this railroad was built to run trains, and that's what I love doing. Thanks for watching.